Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fan Food. I want to make a quick video on week 0 in college football since week 1 is right around the corner. Now, week 0 only had one game of consequence. That was the Florida-Miami game. Now, this was a game in which both teams looked like they really wanted to lose the game, but somehow Florida accidentally won. It was remnant of the 2012 London Olympics, in which 8 badminton teams were disqualified for attempting to throw their matches. There's nothing more boring than 2 badminton teams trying to lose while not looking like they're trying to lose. This was a lot like this game. It's very sloppy, a lot of turnovers, penalties, and bone-hunted plays in the game. But the important thing about week 0 is that whether you win or you lose, and you build off of it. And Florida was able to win the game. Now I want to look at some takeaways for both teams that we can use throughout the rest of the season going forward. 2 for Miami and 3 for Florida. The first for Miami is that even though they lost, they looked good against a good opponent. Their side, the ACC, is very weak, and it looks like they have a very good shot at competing for that side of the ACC to play Clemson more than likely in the ACC title game. Now, the second one is I want to pump the brakes on the turnover chain for Miami. Now, Miami represented that 305 chain several times during the game, but I would like to point out that many of those turnovers were self-inflicted by Florida. You had the 2 fumbles really close together in the game. The first was the quarterback fumbling, giving the ball to the running back, and the second one was the running back fumbling the ball when it was given to him just for no reason. Both these turnovers, Miami didn't do anything special to cause them. They just happened to pick up the ball, which is something, but it was more turnovers caused by Florida's offense rather than Miami's defense. And the other turnover I want to point to is the interception late in the game in which Felipe Franks threw to 3 Miami defenders, no Florida receiver in the frame. And it wasn't a great spectacular play that the defender made to get it. He just happened to be standing where the ball was thrown. So far, Miami's only proven they can pick up the ball when the other team drops it, which is a start for the defense. And they still might have a lot of turnovers this season. But I just want to pump the brakes on anointing them with their turnover chain, because so far they just haven't shown that they can cause a lot of turnovers. They can just take advantage of the other team's mistakes. Now I want to get to Florida for a second. The first one is that Florida has a great defense. Even though they had sloppy tackling, which is mostly due to it being the first game of the season, their defense looked very dominant. They controlled the game. They had 10 sacks. They looked like a top 10 defense in college football. And that defense will win them many games by itself, and it will keep them in games against good opponents. Now, the second point I want to make is if Dan Mullen is the quarterback whisperer, then Felipe Franks is deaf. We've heard all offseason how great Felipe Franks is going to be after working with Dan Mullen. And so far it has not materialized. He looks really poor. He had a lot of errant throws. Even with running backs in the flat, he couldn't hit them. And he had some really bad-looking passes, including that interception at the end where they shouldn't have been passing anyway. That's a separate issue. The main point right now is Felipe Franks was supposed to be one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC, and so far he looks very far from that. The third point is that we've heard that Florida is a dark horse for the SEC East and even the challenge for the SEC title. Based off their offense this week, I don't think that is going to materialize. And their defense can keep them in a lot of games, even against Alabama and Georgia, but their offense is not going to be able to get them over the hump to beat any of those teams. And that's the main takeaways from week 0. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on Fan Food.